I'd now like to introduce Andrea Reid, Exploration Manager Australia, Teck Australia.
Firstly, thank you, Brooke, for that introduction. And I also want to tell everyone that I'm pleased to be here today for my very first ever presentation at a conference, and hopefully I'll be back in the future to give an update of a Teck discovery, a Teck nickel discovery in Australia. So as the Australian Exploration Manager for Teck Resources, I'm going to present to you today about Teck so you can gain a better understanding of our nickel exploration within Australia. And with the hope that we can have some continued discussion afterwards on some exciting opportunities that might be available for us. So before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia and their connections to the land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend the respect to all First Nations peoples. Which one is it? Nope. The standard cautionary statements that everyone can have a look at later on. So at Teck, copper growth has always been fundamental to Teck's value creation strategy, and this will continue going forward, with copper demand slated to increase because of its important role in the decarbonisation and electrification. Highlighted in this map on the right are Teck's current producing assets identified by commodity and include the ramp-up of our QB2 deposit. Our copper portfolio is anchored in two long-life, world-class assets. The first is Antamina, a high-quality copper-zinc operation in the Andes mountain range. It's about 270 kilometres north of Lima, of which Teck holds a 22.5% interest. The second is HVC, Highland Valley Copper, which is currently Canada's largest base metal mine. In addition to the zinc production at Antamina, our Red Dog operation is one of the world's largest zinc mines, located about 170 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle near Kotzebue, Alaska. As well as our trail operations in BC, Canada, is one of the world's largest our trail operations is one of the world's largest fully integrated smelting and refinery complexes for zinc and lead, as well as a variety of precious and specialty metals, chemicals and fertiliser products. The nearby Juanita Dam provides low-cost, clean and renewable power to the metallurgical operations. And finally, our steel-making coal assets, located in southern BC, are slated to be separated from our base metals portfolio. And this will serve to unlock the full potential of our copper and also our other base metal portfolio and create more value for Teck. I want to talk about our values. So these were actually selected by our employees themselves through an inclusive voting process. And it really does describe who we are. We're responsible, courageous, respectful, inclusive, humble and driven. And we're proud that Teck provides the essential resources the world counts on to make life better. And we do this by focusing always, and I mean always, on health and safety, sustainability and excellence. So in our commitment to an environmentally sustainable future, Teck is making plans so that by 2050 we reach a target of net zero for greenhouse gas emissions that we create indirectly. We will do this through a variety of methods, and these could include sourcing 100% renewable energy at Carmen de Andacollo, exploring the use of carbon capture and storage, and sourcing 50% of operational energy at QB2 from renewable resources, as well as many other processes. So the World Economic Forum ranks biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse as one of the top threats the world will face this decade. Teck will do its part, along with other companies, in reversing the ecosystem loss being experienced globally. We will be a nature-positive mining company by 2030 through conservation, protection and restoration of country, as we aim to either conserve or rehabilitate, based on our 2020 baselines, at least 3 hectares for every 1 hectare that we disturb as a result of our mining activities. Teck announced in 2022 that we will protect 14,000 hectares of wildlife habitat and ecosystems. This is equivalent to over 40% of our current mining footprint. And for footy fans out there, so that's about 6.3 thousand football fields. And if you're a soccer fan, I believe that's about 20,000 soccer fields. So I've spoken about our operations in the Americas, and now I just want to highlight some of our development projects. So having options to grow and having ongoing mining production are typically exclusive of each other. And companies usually have one or the other. However, Teck is an outlier in this sense, as we have both existing and well-established production and major near-term growth in the form of an actionable portfolio and the ramp-up of QB2. In addition to our zinc portfolio, we have several significant near-term projects, all copper-focused, all located in several well-established mining jurisdictions in the Americas at several different scales. These are forecasted to be low-cost operations, and many have already had their risks mitigated through strategic partnerships already in place. This portfolio gives Teck a flexibility that allows for effective management of often uncertain timing of permitting and keeps us in a strong financial position as we think about sequencing and prioritisation of these projects. So QB. It's often referred to as QB. It's the Quebrada Blanca porphyry copper and molybdenum mine, and it's located in the Tarapacá region of northern Chile at an elevation of over 4,000 metres above sea level. It's approximately 240 kilometres southwest of the city of Iquique and 1,500 kilometres from Santiago. In 2012, Teck completed a feasibility study for the QB2 expansion project, which determined the expansion was viable but would require significant investment. So then in 2018, Teck announced it was looking for an investor. And by December of that year, Teck published an investment agreement that had been reached with two Japanese mining companies. So Teck holds a 60% indirect interest in the mine. Sumitomo Metal Mining Co. and Sumitomo Corporation together have a collective 30% indirect interest, and INAMI, the Chilean state agency, has a 10% non-funding interest. So QB2 contemplates an initial mine life of 27 years with significant potential for future growth, with 316,000 tonnes of copper equivalent annual production for the first full 5 years of production. The initial mine life will only be 18% of total 2022 reserves and resources. In March 2023, Teck announced first copper production at the QB2 project. QB2 is actually a transformational asset for Teck, and it was really great working as part of the Brownfields exploration team when I lived in Chile. So a number of our advanced projects reached major milestones in the past year. I'm just going to talk about them now. So in September 2022, Agnico Eagle and Teck agreed to develop the San Nicolas copper zinc project located in Zacatecas, Mexico. It's a 50-50% joint venture partnership. This volcanic-hosted massive sulfide deposit was estimated in 2021 to possess 105.2 million tonnes of proven and probable reserves at an average grade of 1.12% copper, 1.48% zinc, 0.4 grams per tonne gold, and 22 grams per tonne silver. This constitutes a grade of more than 2% when viewed from a copper equivalent basis. The next step is a feasibility study, which will be completed in early 2024. The previously mentioned QB mill expansion will add over 15,000 tonnes of copper equivalent production annually as early as 2026, increasing our throughput by over 50%. Existing project infrastructure will be utilised to its fullest capacity, and is a key piece of our copper growth strategy. The next one, Zafranal, is located in the porphyry copper belt of the Peru Arequipa region, has an expected mine life of 19 years and will produce copper gold concentrates through an open pit mining and conventional concentration process. Annual production will be 133,000 tonnes of copper in concentrate during the first 5 years. We announced in May 2023 that Zafranal was granted regulatory approval by Peru's the regulatory board, which was another advancement for our industry-leading portfolio. I'm just going to jump ahead to Galore Creek now. So with the support of our partner Newmont, Galore Creek is advancing exploration as Canada's largest copper development project, located 150 kilometres northwest of Stewart in northern BC. And then back to NewRange. So finally, in February 2023, Teck announced the completion of the NewRange copper-nickel joint venture with PolyMet Mining Corp. This will advance both PolyMet's NorthMet project and Teck's Mesaba project, bringing together two large, well-defined mineral resources in the established Iron Range mining region of Minnesota. We will touch upon this in the slides to come. So as I said, the NewRange copper-nickel project is a joint venture between Teck and PolyMet and consists of the NorthMet and Mesaba deposits in northeastern Minnesota. The Mesaba mineral deposit is located in the Duluth complex and contains one of the world's largest undeveloped copper-nickel resources. Although Mesaba is primarily a copper deposit, it also has significant contained nickel, platinum, palladium, gold, cobalt, and silver. We have some exciting Mesaba and NorthMet core at our booth, number 34, so please come and check it out. Both deposits are located near existing and closed iron ore mines and will make use of existing brownfield tailings storage and plant locations to minimise environmental impact. While further study and community engagement is required to define its development potential, Mesaba is a strategic metal resource. The eastern edge of the historic Mesaba Iron Range has been extensively mined over the last 130 years, and its Duluth complex is the largest exposed intrusive complex in the 2,000-kilometre long mid-continent rift. Copper-nickel mineralisation was discovered at the base of the Duluth complex in 1948. Since then, exploration has continued sporadically for the past 70 years. Today, the resource makes up one of the largest undeveloped copper-nickel PGE resources in the US. However, it wasn't until 1986 that palladium and platinum were found present alongside the already discovered copper-nickel resource. Teck acquired the project in 1998, and since then we've drilled 150 holes into this deposit. So this photo just here on the left shows one of the only examples of the massive sulfides at Mesaba. And on this slide, so here on this cross-section, you can see the bathtub intrusion, which is in blue, and the Partridge River intrusion, which is seen right on the very right in green. The ore sits primarily within these two intrusions at the contact with the footwall lithologies. On the left is an example of the main mineralisation at Mesaba, disseminated sulfides that occur as medium to coarse grains with an irregular layer along the base of the bathtub intrusion, and this is referred to as the basal mineralised zone. The mineralogy of this ore is comprised of pyrrhotite, pentlandite, and a mix of cubonite and chalcopyrite. Cubonite dominates the base of the bathtub intrusion and becomes more chalcopyrite rich towards the top of the mineralised layer. Back to the right again, the cross-section model, it's actually tessellated lithogeochemical units, which were defined by spectral clustering and then placed into meaningful populations. The lithogeochemical clusters were then combined with visual logs, and this new data set was then used to make a new lithological model. CECIL, which some of you might have heard before, actually stands for Cominco Engineering Services Limited and is a wholly owned subsidiary of Teck. So at Teck, we developed a proprietary hydrometallurgical technology for the treatment of nickel, copper, and copper gold concentrates. The processes are capable of refining impure concentrations containing fluoride, arsenic, bismuth, and other impurity elements that are challenging for conventional smelting. So pilot plants have operated as early as 2003 and 2004, and more recently the technology was extensively tested on the Duluth complex ore at both a pilot and the demonstration scales. So now to discuss our global exploration offices and the jurisdictions that we currently have projects in, as well as a focus on our exploration in Australia, which I'm sure some of you are probably a bit more interested in here today. So as mentioned in the introduction, we do have a strong focus on base metal exploration, nickel, copper, and zinc. The dark blue countries on the map are where Teck currently has exploration projects. with the more advanced projects labelled in bright green for copper and light blue for zinc, with our 4 steelmaking coal operations labelled in purple. We have dynamic exploration teams based in 6 countries around the world: Canada, Peru, Chile, Ireland, Turkey, and Australia. At each of these exploration offices, we have dedicated generative and evaluation teams who either seek partnerships or evaluate regional data sets in several countries around the world, within and also outside of where our current offices are located. We are an agile and adaptable in forming agreements with partners. We want to make sure that every partnership is a win-win and both sides see upside and get value from every one of the agreements. And now to our Australian projects, which we aim to build beyond our previous successes at Carrapateena and Teena. So the Butterfly tenure, that was staked in 2023 in Western Australia near Karratha. It is currently under application and is a generative staking target that Teck undertook in order to identify layered mafic, ultramafic intrusions for potential nickel sulphide mineralisation. We hope these licences proceed to grant stage so we can commence geophysical surveys in 2024. Baloo was also recently staked in 2021 with potential for zinc-lead mineralisation. We had aimed to advance on-ground exploration on this tenure in 2024, building on our recently acquired geophysical dataset. To the east, we do hold significant tenure in Northern Territory. The North Baton tenure is a partnership that Teck is earning into with Sandfire Resources. We also have the advanced zinc-lead sediment-hosted massive sulphide Teena deposit, which is located within our Reward tenure. Teena is a paleoproterozoic lead-zinc deposit, and it's located about 8 kilometres to the west of the MacArthur River mine. We continue to improve our knowledge about this system. While the circumstances of COVID-19 were negative for everyone, one positive result was that we had a great opportunity to advance our knowledge of this and other sediment-hosted massive sulphide deposits. We did this by re-logging historic drill core for multi-element geochemistry through XRF and thin-section petrography. And we still have additional targets to follow up on our Reward tenure. We also currently are diamond drilling on our Barclay tenure, and that's located close to the Queensland border. Paleoproterozoic sediment-hosted massive sulphide deposits are also our focus on this tenure. So our Australian team is currently growing, and we are upgrading our portfolio with nickel, copper and zinc projects. We want to work with partners to leverage our shared technical, financial and sustainability strengths. Our commercially minded team considers a range of options and joint venture agreements, strategic alliances and also equity investments. We know the competition in Australia is fierce, we know this, but our small team and our dedication to discovery, we think is our advantage. So thank you for your attention today. Please come by our booth number 34 or reach out to myself or our other staff here with any questions or opportunities that you'd like to discuss with us. Thank you.